Hi guys, welcome back. Domain 5 Risk Management, Chapter 5.5 Summarize Concept of Forensic. Computer Forensic. So computer forensic is certainly a popular buzzword in computer security. The term forensic relates to the applications of scientific knowledge to legal problem. Specifically, computer forensic involves the preservations, identifications, documentations, and interpretations of a computer data. In many cases, digital forensic is the technical side of developing proof as to what happened or didn't happen as part of an incident response effort. Digital forensic specifically uses scientific principle to provide assurance in explaining what digital evidence tells you about the either has or hasn't happened with the computer system. Okay, this is the list of topic we are going to see. Strategic intelligence, counterintelligence. Strategic intelligence gathering is the use of all resources to make determinations. This can make a large difference in whether a firm is prepared for threats or not. The same idea fits into digital forensic. Strategic intelligence can provide information that limits the scope of investigations to a manageable level if we have an idea of specific act for which we would like to have demonstrate evidence of either occurrence or non-occurrence. We can build a strategic intelligence data set on the information. Where is it, what is it, and what is allowed, not allowed, or all piece of information that, when arranged and analyzed, can lead to data logging plan to help support forensics event capture. Considerations of others events such as what about things like adding data wiping programs, then removing these programs is important to consider. The list of possibilities is long, but just like strategic threats intelligence, it is manageable, and by working not in isolate but in concern with the other firms and professionals, a meaningful plan can emerge. Counterintelligence gathering is gathering of information specifically targeting the strategic intelligence effort of another entity. Knowing what people are looking at and what information they are obtained can provide information into their motivates and potential future actions. Making and using a tool so that it doesn't leave specific trace of where, when, or on what it was used is a form of counterintelligence gathering in action. The small next slides. Order of volatility. There are many sources of data in a computer systems, and if the machine is running, some of these sources are volatile. Things such as the state of the CPU at its registers, RAM or RAM, random access memory, and even storage are always changing, which can make the collecting of electronic data a difficult and delicate task. So these elements tend to change at different rates, and you should pay attention to the order of volatility or life of the data so that you can prioritize your collections effort after a security incident to ensure you don't lose valuable forensic evidence. In some cases, you may have only one chance to collect volatility data, after which it becomes lost forever. There are the few things we need to know, in order to volatile of digital information in your system. 8 important things. I'll tell you that CPU catch and register contents. 1. Example, collect first. The information has to collect. The second is a routing table or catch, process table, kernel statistics. Third is live network connections and data flows. And fourth is memory, RAM. And then fifth is a temporary file system swap space, so this kind of information. And sixth is a data or hard disk. And seventh is remotely locked data. And the last one is the data stored or or backups, so this is the things we need to collect informations. So when collecting digital evidence, it is important to use proper techniques and tools. Some of the key elements are to use of write blockers when making forensic copies, hashes and verifying hashes matches, documenting handling and storage, and protect media for environmental change factor. Of particular notes is that data present on a system can be functions of both these file systems and the hardware being employed. A physical hard disk drive will persist data longer than a solid state drive SSD. And the newer file systems with the journaling and shadow copies can have longer persistence of information than older systems such as file allocation table FAT based system. Raw disk blocks can be recovered in some file systems long after data has been rewritten or erased due to the nature of how the file systems manage the data. Chain of custody. After evidence is collected, it must be properly controlled to prevent tampering. The chain of custody accounts for all persons who handle or had access to the evidence. More specifically, the chain of custody shows who obtained the evidence, when and where it was obtained, where it was stored, who had control or possession of the evidence for the entire time since the evidence was obtained. There are few important critical steps in chain of custody. So one is a record each time collected as evidence. Second is a record who collect the evidence along with the date and time it was collected or recorded. Third is written a descriptions of the evidence in the documentations. Put the evidence in containers and tag the containers with the case number and the name of person who collected it and the date and the time it was collected or put in the container. Fifth is a record all message digest, example hashes values in the documentations. Sixth, securely transport the evidence to protected storage facility. Seventh is obtain a signature from the person who accepts the evidence at the storage facility. Eighth, provide controls to prevent access to and compromise of the evidence while it is being stored. 9. Securely transport the evidence to court for proceedings. Okay. So legal holds. In the US legal systems, legal precedents require the potential relevance information must be preserved at the instant of party reasonably anticipates. Litigations or another type of formal dispute. Although this sounds technically it is fairly easy to grasp. Once an organization is aware that it needs to preserve evidence for court cases, it must do it. The mechanisms is fairly simple as well. Once you realize your organization need to preserve evidence, you must use a legal holds or legitimate litigations hold. The process by which you properly preserves any and all digital evidence related to potential cases. This event is usually triggered by one organization issuing a litigations hold records to another. So this means the ordinary data retentions policies no longer are sufficient, and that even alteration to metadata can be considered to be a violation of the hold request. If a judge determines that a violation of hold request may materially affect the ability of jury to make a decisions, the judge can instruct the jury to consider the act as hiding evidence. Major jury awards have been decided based on failure to retain information, as failure to comply can be seen as negligence. Where does this information subject to a legal hold reside? Everywhere, including email, office documents, network shares, mobile phones, tablets, database. Everywhere the information is shared, all copies need to be produced unallotted, even if relevant documents were created years ago. Finding and managing all of the information falls under a branch of digital forensics called e-discovery, which deals with the identification, management and preservation of digital information that is subjected to legal hold. Okay. So, data acquisitions. So, evidence consists of the documents, verbal statements, material objects, admissibles in a court of law. Evidence is critical to convincing management, juries, judge or another authority that some kind of violation has occurred. It is vitally important to document all the steps taken in the collect of evidence, as this may be challenged in court, and process followed as evidence by the documentations will be all that can be used to demonstrate the veracities of the process. The submission of evidence is challenging, but it is even more challenging when computers are used, because the people involved may not be technically educated and thus may not fully understand what happened. Just keep these points in mind as you collect evidence. Who collected the evidence? How was it collected? Where was it collected? Who has had possessions of the evidence? How was it protected and stored? When was it removed from storage? Why? Who took possessions? Computer evidence presents it more challenge because the data itself cannot be sensed with the physical senses. That is, you can see printed characters, but you cannot see the bits where the data is stored. Bits of data are merely magnetic pulses on a disk or some other storage technology. Therefore, data must always be evaluated through some kind of filters rather than sensed directly by human sense. This is often the concerns to auditors, because good auditing techniques record accessing the original data or versions or closest as possible to original data. Okay. System image capture. So imaging or dumping the physical memory of computer system can help evidence not available on a hard drive. This is especially appropriate for rootkits where evidence on the hard drive is hard to find. Once the memory is imaged, you can use a hex editor to analyze the image offline on another system. So note that dumping memory is more applicable for investigative work where court proceeding will not pursue. If a case is likely to end up in court, do not dump memory without first seeking legal advice to confirm that live analysis of the memory is acceptable. Otherwise, the defendant will be able to dispute easily the claim that evidence was not tampered with. The other system image is that of internal storage device. Making forensic duplicates of all partitions is a key steps in preserving evidence. A forensic copy is a bit by bit copy and has supporting integrity checks in the form of hashes. The proper practice is to use a write blocker when making a forensic copy of your drive. This device allows a disk to be read, but prevents any writing action to the drive, guaranteeing that the copy operation doesn't change the original media. Once a forensic copy is created, work copies from the master forensic copy can be created for analysis and sharing with other investigators. The use of hash values provide a means of demonstrating that all of the copies are true to each other and the original. Okay. Network traffic logs. An important source of information in an investigation can be the network activity associated with the device. This can be lot of useful information in the network log associated with the network infrastructure. This level and breadth of this information is determined by the scope of investigations, while the best data would be from that of a live network forensic collect process. In most cases, this type of data will not be available. There are many other sources of network forensic data, including firewall and IDS logs, network flow data, and event logs on key servers and services. Okay, record time offset. Record time offset is the difference in the time between the system clock and the actual time. To minimize record time offset, most computers sync their time over the internet with the official time source. Files and event log on a computer will have timestamp marking that are based on the clock time on the machine itself. It is mistake to assume that this clock is accurate. To allow the correlations of timestamp data from records inside the computers with any external event, it is necessary to know any time offset between the machine's clocks and the actual time. When collecting forensic data, it is very important to collect the record time offset so the local variations in time can be corrected. Okay. Take hashes. If files, logs, and other informations are going to be captured and used for evidence, you need to ensure that the data is not modified. In most cases, a tool that implements a hashing algorithm to create message digest is used. A hashing algorithm performs functions similar to the familiar parity, bits, checksums, or cyclic redundancy check. It applies mathematical operation to a data stream to calculate some numbers that is unique based on the information contained in the data stream. If a subsequent hash created on the same data streams results in the different hash values, it usually means that the data stream was changed. The mathematics behind hashing algorithm has been researched extensively, and although it is possible that two different data streams could produce the same message digest, it is very improbable. This is an idea of cryptographic that has been rigorously reviewed, and the mathematics behind message digest 5, MD5, and secure hash algorithm SHA is very sound. In 2005, weaknesses were discovered in the MD5 and SHA algorithm, leading the National Institute of Standard Technology to announce a competition to find new cryptographic hashes algorithm named SHA-3. Although MD5 is still used, best practice would be to use SH2 series and SH3 once it's become integrated into tool. The hash tool is applied to each files or logs, and the message digest value is noted in the investigation document. It is good practice to write the logs to your right ones media such as CD-ROM. If the case actually goes to trial, the investigator may need to run the tool on the files or logs again to show that they haven't been altered in any way. Screenshot. Pay particular attention to the state of what is on the screen at the time of evidence collections. The information on the video is lost once the system changes or power is removed. Take screenshot using a digital camera or video camera to provide documentations as to what was on the screen at the time of collections, because you cannot trust the system's internal themselves to be free of tampering. Do not use internal screenshot capture method. Okay. Witness, interview witness. Remember that witness credibility is extremely important. It is easy to imagine how quickly credibility can be damaged if this witness is asked, "Did you lock these file systems?" and cannot be answered affirmatively. Or what asked, "When you image this drive, did you use your new systems?" The witness cannot answer that the destinations disk was the destination disk was new or had been completely formatted using a low-level format before data was copied to it. Witness preparation can be critical in a case even for technical expert. A human memory is not as long-lasting as computer files. It is important to get witness testimony and collect the data as early as possible. Having them write down what they remember immediately is very helpful in preserving memory. Okay. Okay, so next slide. So here the documentation track covers demonstrating the effort and task performed in the forensic process may become an issue. In court and other proceeding, having the difficulty to demonstrate who did what, when they did it, and how long it took can provide information to establish that the steps were taken by the process employed. Having solid accounting data on man-hours and other expenses can provide corroborating evidence as these actions performed. So exam preparations. Which of the following is a process used during data acquisitions for the preservation of all forms of relevant information when litigation is responsible for anticipated? Answer A. Legal hold. Answer is a legal hold. Second, what hardware or software tools should be used whenever you are capture a system imaging to preserve the integrity of the original media? Answer D. Write blocker. Answer is D. Write blocker. That's it guys for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. So I will post more video practice labs on next later on video. Please subscribe my channel if you haven't. Press the bell button to get more update. Share the video if you like. See you. Bye bye.